Have the last 18 months left you feeling permanently tired? Are you feeling down for reasons you just can't explain? Do you dismiss these feelings saying that it's just life? Join a series of wellness conversations in the circle with Salal, where we discuss the impact of stress on everyday life. We unpack mental health awareness and ways to combat the effects of stress. Visit www.salal.co.za. Mind, body, Salal. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Our Love Journey.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for giving us another chance to be welcomed into your homes, into your cars, your phones. As you guys know, we're obviously continuing with mental health and just topics that go with that. Last week's topic got such a great reception.
Yo, it was crazy. Hey, like the comments, the conversation that was going on,
Yeah, it was
and
beautiful.
even the reviews that were going on. So a big thank you and a shout out to Solal, who has partnered with us and believed in us and also wants to just invest in the community by talking about these struggles and offering some sort of solution and help.
Yeah, it's always nice to have like companies like that get involved in issues, that really make a difference. And you could see in the comments that people were like, these are stories that people go through every day.
Absolutely.
And we could all relate in the comments. So guys, please keep that up. That's really nice when we go through the comments and it's just positive and it's upliftment and it's people, just sharing their truth. And once again, thanks to Solal.
I do feel like it was a lot of freedom for like a lot of people. And I think because we were really, really vulnerable, a lot of people felt free enough or safe enough to also open up. I saw someone actually also commented on YouTube that they are now taking, they're going to be taking leave to take care of their mental health. Others are saying they're finally going to deal with their issues. So that's what we're trying to establish here, for all of us to recognize what is happening in our lives and how best to deal with it.
Yeah, it's crazy how we always overshare.
Yeah, we overshare.
This podcast, it kind of makes us overshare. And you guys think we're these transparent people, and we're really not.
We're not.
We just always shock ourselves.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get to a review. And this one is from Muemedi. And she gave us a 5-star, and it's for mental wellness versus mental illness. I love you guys. You're so relatable and transparent. Honestly, you guys are a blessing to our generation. I pray that you continue being authentic and keeping it real with us. This podcast was everything I needed to hear and know. Often, I get injured mentally or emotionally, and I just want to keep it moving, only to realize that I have to stop, listen to my thoughts and body, deal with it before I could continue. Thank you for the podcast. Thank you for sharing your personal experiences and struggles. This conversation was heavenly. Thank you so much, guys. I love you too so much, family. May God keep you too for our generation, because, wow, we need you guys still. Be blessed.
Sure. Thank
Doesn't
you.
it show how focused people are? Like, as I'm reading the review, I'm like, oh, I actually remember us talking about that. I remember us saying that.
Yeah.
So it's lovely to know that it's not just like background noise or something to keep it going, but
really
people are
pay
very,
attention.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, lead us, sir.
So today, I think we touched on it a little bit last week. Obviously, last week's episode was focused more on mental health in relationships. And today we're focusing on it in career. And specifically with us in the creative space.
Yeah.
We know that mental health is such a big issue, a pandemic, if you will, in the entertainment industry, in the arts industry, just anything creative. You'll always find that people struggle with depression.
Yeah.
People struggle with low self-esteem. People struggle with, not feeling like they are who, we all see them to be.
Absolutely.
So I thought we would talk about that and obviously relate it to, our own lives.
Yeah.
And so one of the first things I wanted to ask you actually was something that I was watching a podcast the other day, and they posed a question which I thought would be interesting. And this question is, can you remove mental health from, the art industry or the entertainment industry? Is it possible to carry out a full career in an industry that we're in and not deal with some sort of mental breakdown?
Sure. Yeesh, that's like a full question. To be honest, no, I don't think so. And simply because I think to tap into your creativity requires emotion, it requires, I think, some sort of mental shift or some sort. Like your emotions and your mind have to work together, right? For the creative juices or for the creativity to happen. It's not like a physical thing where you're just like, okay, today I'm writing a song and then you write a song, or today I'm doing this and you do that. But you actually have to, like, you have to feel it. I don't know how to best explain it. And because it's something where you pour your heart out, it's like your children. I'm going to say this again, it's probably a silly example, but it's like your children. You care so deeply for them. You want everything to go right for them because they matter. They're part of you. And when you see them fall, like your heart breaks. It's almost like you just want to fix it. Like you want to just protect them from everything, but you can't because that's just part of growth. And I think the same thing with being a creative. Like I'm very protective of my work because it comes from something. It's not just, I don't just wake up and say, okay, this is what I'm doing, but it's an emotion that I put in. It's my mind that I put everything in me, I invest that. So now something that we touched on, I don't know if you showed this, but now the problem is that when you put out that work, you expose yourself to criticism. And that's where the anxiety comes in. For example, in my work, as much as the influencing industry looks like it's all about pictures, how great your content looks, at the end of the day, it's about numbers. It's about insights, right?
Brands want numbers.
The brands want numbers. And at the end of the day, when the campaign is over, I have to send my insight. So immediately when you put out a picture, there's a level of anxiety. Is this going to perform well? Is it going to do well? And we mentioned the other day that with other careers, like you get your end year report. Like at the end of the year, they'll tell you it's okay, you did well, you're getting your bonus, or end of the term, quarter. But with us, I get my end year review every single day with every post. Yeah. So to say that I don't, like you can separate it, it's impossible because it's putting all your everything about you in it and then getting immediate feedback.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing to highlight, is that one, obviously, our work lives in the public world.
Yeah.
So your workspace is the world, essentially.
Literally.
That's where you drop your, that's where you hand in your whatever. But that's where your work lives.
Yeah.
And so that is a tough way to live.
Yeah.
Because it means you are at the mercy of people all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll speak from my side as a musician. Like when you put out a song, it does not matter how you feel about that song. I mean, it matters to you.
Yeah.
It should matter. But a lot of times it really doesn't matter how you feel about a song. It matters how people receive it.
Yeah.
And so much of how you are mentally and how healthy you stay depends on the reception that people give your work.
Sure.
So back to the question, I think it's something to consider as creatives, to constantly be like on the lookout, to making sure that we are constantly filled and affirmed within ourselves. Because as an artist, as a performer, you perform for I guess some sort of applause.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
like
that's the truth. I mean, it's nice to say no.
Even
you create for,
like, actually, the funny thing is, you know how we always talk about how authentic thing, like this can never really be authentic.
Yeah.
Like the fact that we put on a light, the fact that we're sitting here, that we, everything decisions we've made, it's all a performance.
Yeah.
To some degree. Yes, we impart some of ourselves and true selves, but we also know that this is traveling into the world, meaning how honest can you really be?
How honest can you be? Yeah. Will it be accepted?
Will it be accepted?
Yeah. And
Am I getting cancelled this week?
That I wanted to get in that. We live in cancel culture. And the other day, I think you asked me if you were, I don't know, someone asked if your partner were to be dragged on Twitter, do you fight back or do you just deactivate? And I said to you, I would just deactivate because
that would be the end.
Yeah, that would be the end. Like if y'all decide to drag me and cancel me on Twitter, I'm out. Like I'm not trying to redeem myself because people, the cancel culture that we live in, and it's so hard on people within the public eye, because your mistakes, like everybody makes mistakes, right?
Yeah.
The only difference is that someone in the public space, everybody gets to see their mistake. And then everybody feels like they can say, oh no, you're not allowed to make that mistake. And then the person comes and they apologize. Oh no, you didn't apologize right. And then they apologize a different way.
just
Oh no,
continues.
it just continues. So now can you imagine that pressure of, I don't know if it's everywhere or just South Africa, where every time you're putting out something like this, you have to count your words. You have to think, okay, is it the right thing to say? Will I get cancelled? When you put out a post, is it okay? Does it meet everybody's requirements? Can you imagine what that does to your head?
It's
to
a lot
your
of hard
mind?
work. And I mean, obviously, it doesn't take away the fact that we have to be responsible as
Yes,
people.
absolutely.
But at the same time, like Mpumi says, you constantly are thinking about all
Yeah,
these things.
yeah.
You have to think about it more than usual.
average person,
you know what I
yeah,
mean? Because
yeah.
sometimes it's not just am I saying the right things, it's can this be taken out of context?
That's it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I think you put it well.
Because you can say something and it can be completely taken out of context.
Yeah.
And so now we're not just kind of thinking about, okay, I want to put out the message that I'm putting out in the most one responsible way, in the most affirming way, but also in a way that can never be taken out of
Yeah,
context.
yeah.
So at the end of the day, you left with this really diluted version
Yeah.
of yourself, and it's the
Yet
same-
you have to be authentic
I
and
mean,
be real.
it's the same in music. I don't know how many times I've had to change songs just because I felt like this is too complicated.
Yeah.
And I don't think radio would take this.
Sure.
So now I have to change me, or I have to adapt to thingy. What's
So
the
maybe
quote
the-
about adaptation?
What?
That the Robin Sharma one.
I don't know.
The wise man. So it says the foolish man adapts to the world.
The
Oh, no,
foolish- yeah,
no,
yes.
no, not foolish. It doesn't say foolish. It says the like umuntu ocabanga like the
The reasonable.
Yes.
The reasonable man adapts to the world. The unreasonable man waits for the world. What?
I
The
don't know.
world adapts to the unreasonable man.
Something
Something
like
like that. But essentially, what it means is that if you want to be, I don't want to say regular.
Special.
If you want to be special, right, you need to be unreasonable. You do the things that
Trying
have
to be
never
a
been
genius.
done. Yeah, and not even just genius level, but you just take risks. You do the things people are not willing to do. Put in the hours people are not are willing to put in. Just so you can reach your genius level, right? And I wanted to say something where you touched on that you have to change you. I think that in itself is a huge issue, because ultimately we encourage people, be yourself. That's the only way to true freedom. When we keep pretending, when we keep masking, it means that we're not ourselves, right? And that's what a lot of people who aren't doing so well mentally do, right? It's like behind the doors, you're fine. Robin Williams, for example, he was one of the best comedians. I mean, people rave about what a kind man he was. And then behind the doors, nobody knows that this guy is suffering. But because he's in this space, he cannot come on set sad. He cannot
can't. You
come
have
on
to show
set.
up.
You have to show up.
Because that's why, I mean, with him, I mean, I guess in his case, and I don't know the story fully, but
Yeah.
I can just imagine you play all these fun roles.
Yeah.
So when you get cast, they don't expect you to show up sad.
No, you have to be happy. You have
You
to make
know?
everyone happy.
And it's a tough thing to do, because you really constantly have to stay on. Like you're
Yeah.
always on. And no one can be. Like we all go through stuff. We all have good days and bad days. And I think the quest to maybe mask out the bad days is what lands us in a lot of trouble as creatives. So I've got another question. So this is how I do my my episodes. Can you guys tell? So my question is this, Mpumi, how would you say, as a creative, how do you stay motivated and inspired to create? Because I mean, with you obviously do the same thing over and over again.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you have a YouTube channel, you an influencer. That stuff is recurring.
Yeah.
It's not like you are reinventing the wheel
Yeah.
every time. So how do you stay engaged? How do you make sure that mentally you stay excited to do what you do?
Yeah, I think before, disclaimer, I'm not always excited to do my work, right? But there's a level of discipline that I've adapted to my my lifestyle and to my work that, hey, sometimes you don't feel like it and you just have to show up. You have to show up. And it's called being a responsible adult, right?
Being an adult.
It's called being an adult,
adulting.
and 100% to advocate for taking breaks, etc. But also we have responsibilities.
We do.
And part of our responsibilities is to be able to function in all that we've been trusted with, right? But to stay motivated, my why is very big. Like, I know why I do things. And I think that why keeps me going. And in all my work, before I take a campaign, before I do a YouTube video, before I do a speaking engagement, what is my why? What is the purpose? And what do I want to leave in the next person? Right? And so I think when we shift from me, what am I getting out of it? I'm tired. There's a level of motivation that comes with that, I believe, in serving people. I believe 100% in serving people, and I think that's a big motivation. And I've found that in serving and showing up for other people, I've found great rewards in that, great benefits in that, fulfilling rewards. And I mean, I think you can say, like, when I come back feeling fulfilled, it's never really that, oh, I just got money or I just got this, but it's, oh, I spoke.
It's how you felt.
It's how I felt in that moment, you know? And sometimes we need those bad moments so that we can recognize the good ones.
Definitely.
We need the bad gigs so that the good gigs can be like, wow, I belong here.
I would rather not have the
We
bad
would all
gigs,
rather not have, but how else do you
right.
learn? How else do you improve your work, you know?
don't.
I mean, I look at my old YouTube videos and I'm just like, but that's where we had to start. And you watch that and you're like, okay, you can do better here, you can do better here. So yeah, but the whole motivation thing, and also I read a lot of books of people who are in similar industries, how they motivate themselves and really not forgetting the fun in what I do. Like, what do I still enjoy about this work?
That's a good thing.
Yeah. And just taking time out to do my favorite things. And that's why I wake up early in the morning. I need that hour in the morning because at the end of the day, things may pile on during the day, but at least I know that in the first hour of the day, I have taken time out for myself. Yeah, it's my selfish time. Yeah.
Okay, I love that. And then this is my last question before we get into some tips that I've written down. Guys, I came up with these tips myself. So this is my question then. How do you combat getting into a slump or like a mental block or some sort of, like just kind of hitting a wall in your creative work?
I'm still figuring that out. But
It's a tough one.
It is a tough one. And I think for me, and it's funny how I'm always asked about balance. I don't know if balance is my strongest point because
It's not.
It's not because I'm an
I
extremist.
can definitely say, you have no balance.
I'm an extremist. So if I am parenting, I'm
You
I'm parenting.
You're dressing the whole school. You buy uniforms for the whole school. You overdo
I'm
it.
buying sweets for all of the kids in the
Like
class.
all the sweets are getting sweets. All the kids are getting sweets.
If I'm wifing, I'm wifing really hard. If I am speaking, I wear my heart on my sleeve.
Doing all the positions.
Yeah. Wow. So I don't know if I'm the best person to be asked about balance, but I guess that's just my trade, and it's worked so far. And I guess somehow life offers me ways to strike that balance.
I feel like this is probably like the first time I've ever interviewed.
Yeah, you literally interviewed me.
I am.
I'm enjoying this. I'm so smart.
Yeah, no,
But
you're fine. You're an interesting person. You're actually
Really?
quite interesting.
I am very interesting.
Yeah.
I had a conversation today, and I'm making changes. There's business decisions that I have to take.
Oh, that's good.
And you know how this has been. I've been battling.
It's been
so
tricky.
hard.
It's been very tricky. But I'll tell you what I do to get out of it.
Are you cutting me off?
You said you don't know. You said
No,
you're not the
I'm
person to ask.
I'm sharing the story.
You just said, Hore, I'm unbalanced.
Because
therefore, I'm unqualified to have
come on,
this.
I'm building up so I can get to the
So
story.
now you're going to make up something.
No.
You're Mrs. Mum.
No, your interviewer.
I was going to help you out.
Give me my time. No, you'll have your time. Give me your time.
All right.
Wow, guys, men. Anyway, as I was
Did you
saying,
say men?
yeah, men. I just feel like
I'm a
this is
daughter.
I just feel like this is a gender thing. As I was saying, so I have to make a lot of business decisions that emotionally I'm not taking well, all right, because of the deep connection. But business-wise, I just have to make that jump, right? And I just had a conversation
Just to
today.
make sure you remember what the question
What's
was.
the question?
I knew it. The question was, how do you combat getting into a mental slump?
Okay, there we go. Yeah. And today I had a conversation, a very important conversation. And the guy I was speaking to, Miles, actually, who owns Vuyo's Boerewors, he said to me, you need to know when to leave. You need to know when to grow. You need to know when to sell. And you need to know if you're going to continue. So those are questions we ask ourselves. And even in my career, on my YouTube channel, I had to know, there was a time where I had to stop vlogging because it was affecting my mental health. I could have pushed through and said, no, this just happens. But I knew at the time that I had to stop because I was not taking well to the comments and the hate and the criticism. So I had to protect myself.
Yeah.
Right? And then even in my influencing, I had to make a decision. There was a point where I had to make a decision. Okay, I'm no longer taking short-term campaigns. I want long-term campaigns. Those sort of decisions, I feel like they fuel me because I know that, this is the goal for the next 6 months. We're pushing for this goal. We're going for the goal. So, yeah, I think knowing when to leave, knowing when to stay, knowing when to push through. Because there's moments where it's tough and you have to push through. So you need to learn to identify, is it push through time or is it time for change?
Give up time.
Give up time, yeah.
Joking, not give up. We never
Not give up time, but change.
We end things.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can give your answer. What were you saying?
So, I mean, much of the same. But mostly for me, it's just to... it's these questions that you always say. Does it give you joy?
Yeah, does it bring you joy?
know, you have to go back to the joy of what you're doing.
Yeah.
To get out of that mental slump.
Mm.
Most of the times, if you get into it, it's probably because you've started doing it for other reasons.
Absolutely.
So now it's maybe more financially driven,
Yeah.
or it's more
Habit-driven.
It's habit driven. It's people expect this from me.
Expectation-driven,
I mean,
yeah.
I know. I mean, I've made music where I was creating music for other people. Like I wasn't even happy with that. That's not even what I wanted to do. And so then you wonder, why am I so
Why am I doing
unhappy
this? Yeah.
in my career?
Yeah.
Kanti, you're not doing what you want to do. You're not part of being an artist is taking those risks.
Yeah.
Is making those decisions, is putting yourself out there
Yeah.
in a way that is really as close to truth about you as possible.
Yeah.
You know?
Can I throw a question in there?
Okay.
What do you think caused your depression?
My depression.
Yeah.
It was that I was stuck in a record deal that I didn't understand at the time, and it wasn't allowing me to be myself.
Okay.
And so I remember they wanted me to put out an album. This is back in 2014. I was with some label, I won't mention names, but if you know, you know. And so I remember they sent me a whole bunch of these weird songs.
I remember them.
In fact, the first time, if I'll be really honest, and this is a truth that probably nobody knows, the first time I slid into the first time I knew that this is going to be a long road was, I remember the week before the final episode of Idols, right? This is when they tell you, this is when you put out your own song. And so I remember not having any input in what the song was going to be.
Sure.
And so they gave me a song that I completely hated. I hated it with all of my being. And this was going to be the song I had to perform to win.
Sure.
And so I remember calling my dad. This is like top 3. This happens. This happens top 3 because the top 3 do songs. The third person doesn't get to perform the song, which I think is better because the songs usually suck.
Yeah.
And so they gave me this horrible song that I hated. And I remember calling my dad and telling my dad, I want to come home.
Sure.
I don't want to do this song. And the only reason, I'll be honest, the only reason I ended up doing it was because the runner-up got 100,000 rand.
Wow. So
And
it was money driven.
At that point,
Yeah.
I didn't want to do it because I knew the song wasn't going to work. And even if it did work, and this is important, even if it did work, I knew it wasn't what I wanted
It
to
wasn't
do.
authentic to you, yeah.
And so I hated starting my career on a lie.
So you already started reverse.
Yeah. So from there on, it was just downhill because it was just more of the same kind of. And I remember I I wanted to put out an album because I stayed with the record label like 2.5 years and I never released an album. And I wanted to, and I remember sending 43 songs to
Sure.
the record label, and I sent them 43 songs. I'm kind of getting emotional because I sent them 43 songs that I'd written and I had spent so much time,
And put your heart into
and
it.
they didn't pick a single one.
Sure.
Instead, they got me a bunch of pop songs from Sweden. Like, I was firstly, I'm like, I didn't even know they had pop in Sweden. Like, how does that even make any sense? So after that, like, you can imagine my confidence
Your
as
confidence,
a musician,
your
as a
self-esteem,
songwriter.
it's
Like,
out.
I just figured, okay, maybe I'm not that guy. Like, because my confidence was so drained.
Yeah.
And I think that it was a long journey, but figuring it out and realizing that no, man, I'm not the problem.
Yeah.
You know, and finding that confidence again, like I had to build confidence within myself.
Yeah.
I had to
and that's
learn.
not an easy journey.
It's not an easy thing. Like to become confident when you haven't, grown up like that. It's a very hard thing to do. And to this day, I think confidence is maybe one of the strongest characteristics you can build or work on
Yeah.
that will really propel you into really great things. But I had to build that from scratch.
Yeah.
And I think you helped a lot in doing that. And part of my confidence, like I said last week, it comes in being good at other things. So when you realize, okay, maybe angikwazi ukucula, but lapha kumjolo yabona ngiyacontribute.
Yeah.
It's
That's
like
something.
it gives you
hope. Then you're
something
like a push. Yeah.
if I can make my wife happy,
At
surely
least I'm
I
doing
can
something
use the
right.
same energy into something else.
Yeah.
It's just a ripple
Finding
effect.
pockets of joy.
Yeah.
I relate to what you're saying about like when your depression started, and mine might have not translated to depression. But when I left my job in corporate, it's because I was diminishing. I was losing my voice. I couldn't be myself. I had to adapt to the environment. And personally, I blow up very easily, right? I don't tolerate a lot of stuff. So when I realized that, no, man, I'm not myself there. My voice is diminishing. So whatever environment I find myself where I can't be myself, then I know that there's a problem.
It's important to gauge and to make sure that you are being
Yourself.
and you're allowed to have a say. Like I
Yeah,
always say,
that's so important,
if a decision
man.
is gonna kill me, I want to make the decision.
And I think what we can tap into when we talk about family is it starts from childhood, how we raise our kids. Are kids allowed to have a say? Because we raise that when adults talk, you're not allowed to say anything. And then out of nowhere, as an adult, you must have a voice in your corporate, in business meetings or whatever.
All of a sudden now you must believe in yourself.
You must believe in yourself.
Yeah, it's crazy, guys. But like for me, if you guys leave with anything from this video, it would be to say, make sure that your voice is not being muted.
Yes.
Especially if you are creative. Because,
Absolutely.
like, contrary to popular belief, you are the spark.
You are.
You are what makes it work.
You're the gift.
Like, you can have the best manager in the world. If you're not there, they're not managing anything.
That's true.
So you make it work. And a lot of times when you get involved with corporations or other people, like you start to feel like the reason things are working
It's because of
is because of everyone else.
forces,
And I'm
yeah.
not saying, I mean, obviously you can't make it on your own.
Yeah.
That's never going to happen. That's
Yeah.
another thing. You can't do it on your own. You do need help. But you must understand that you are the main ingredient.
You're the meat.
You're the meat of this dish.
Yeah.
You know, if you're vegan, you're the, what's that thing that looks like?
You're the chickpeas.
Not the chickpeas.
You're the tofu.
You're the tofu. You're the tofu of the. You're the tofu of the
Of the
dish.
meal, yeah.
Yeah. So don't forget that, because realizing that would mean that will remind you that if you don't sign off on something, it shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
It shouldn't happen.
Yeah. Keep
and,
your
and
voice.
if you're in a position where, especially as a creative, I mean, it works differently in corporate. I know the hierarchies are crazy. There's a whole thingy that you have to follow. But I mean, like, if you're in the creative industry, an artist, a musician, an influencer, YouTuber, whatever, photographer, if you in that industry, you need to be making calls on your work.
Yes.
All right. So just to end things off, I will give some additional tips on just getting out of that mental slump, making sure that you protected and you don't fall into like some trouble. Just because you're not recognizing where you are. So one of the things I wrote here is the first thing is check on yourself regularly.
Absolutely.
Are you still passionate or are you on autopilot?
Sure.
These are important questions to ask because a lot of times, like Mpumi said, sometimes you do stuff because it is routine, it's habits.
Yeah.
You're good at this
Or
now.
you have to. There's some, I don't know, have to according to who.
Yeah.
But we tell ourselves that you have to.
Yeah, so I think every 3 months, just maybe have a meeting with yourself and be like, yo, am I still passionate?
Yeah.
What are my goals?
Am I still aligned?
Am I still aligned with my goals? And I think that's a good thing to do, Mpumi, to set goals for the year.
For the month, for the week.
Yes, to set constant goals that you can go back and look at and see if you're hitting your goals.
Yeah.
Because that's
a form of motivation as well. Like achieving your goals, no matter how small it is, like saying, I'll drink 1 liter of water, or I'll be in studio 3 times a week, or I'll take 10 pictures. And when you achieve that, you feel like, no, man, I'm good at this. Then you set bigger goals. It keeps you motivated and working.
Because there's always like a next thing.
There's always a next thing. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the first one. And then number 2, take regular breaks. This is something that we've learned recently.
Yeah.
We've learned recently to take breaks just because we were working harder than we were resting.
Yeah.
And you can't work on fumes. You need...
Especially because you're pouring into people. You can't pour from an empty cup. You constantly need to refill. I mean, Amanda, I was with her the other day and she just came back from a holiday and she was like, you know what? I'm actually already planning my next holiday. And I'm like, how? How do you do this? And the secret is that when it's time to push.
You push.
Put in the work. When it's time to rest,
you
rest. Put in the rest.
Yeah, and you need to rest with the same energy
intensity
that you work.
Yeah.
So that's something that we've tried to do, and it's not always going away, going vacation. Sometimes just doing nothing.
Yeah, going to the spa. We go to the spa every week.
Or even not even the spa. Just sleep in.
Yeah,
just
sleep in.
Play with your kids. Hang out with your husband. Read a book. Mpumi reads a lot. Read a book, not a self-help book.
Yeah, I'm
read
reading
a fun book.
But I have different types of
Yeah, that's
books.
what I'm saying.
Oh,
Like, that's when you're now pulling out your Gabriella book.
Yeah.
Because now you're kind of getting into...
chill mode.
Yeah, so find something that you can do to take breaks
We
often.
can't sleep in because our kids are 5 a.m.
Yeah, guys, our kids are 5 a.m. club. And then lastly, this is my favorite one. Avoid the comments. If you're in the... Look... obviously,
how am I supposed to avoid the comments?
You have to interact, but I think you should have a limit as to how much interaction you're doing.
That's true.
Because you can't let all that noise affect your creativity. Because it will. And you will find something. It's that whole thing. If you look for something, you will find
and there's
going to
be that one comment.
And it's going to ruin everything. I remember I put out my music video, which is doing amazing, by the way. And I just, literally, there's over 1,000 comments that are positive. Guys, I found one. And I looked for it and I found one.
And it affected you.
And it ruined my whole day.
But remember what I said to you? I said, do you think that person has a music video? They don't sound like someone who's ever
That's
had
a good question.
Video.
But I didn't feel like
You
that.
didn't feel like that.
I felt like this has got to be a Grammy Award winning musician who recognizes the fault. But it's not the case. So avoid the comments. So that's been today's episode.
Those are some good points. Today wasn't too deep.
But today was
good.
a little better.
It was good. Yeah. All right, guys.
I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. Please do engage with us again. How you deal with your job and how you make sure that you stay mentally healthy. And then check out the Solal website for things that can help you, supplements that can help you.
There's supplements that help you deal with ongoing stress, burnout.
And guys, these things are great. We've been on some of it. And like I said, we supplemented things that we didn't have. And it just changed our lives. Like, we really feel good all the time. We have energy all the time.
Someone actually asked, where do you do the test for what's missing? And we went to a dietitian and we had to do blood tests. And that's what checked what's missing in your
so just kind of meet up with a good dietitian, and then they'll write a list for you of all the bloods you have to test so that they can see what's really happening in your body.
And what you need and what you lack.
All right, guys.
That's been good. All right, then.
This
Bye.
is our love story. This is our journey.